So, back in late 2025, OpenAI dropped an announcement that some VCs are calling the most significant in the company's entire history. And no, it's not some new, flashy model or a crazy breakthrough in AI reasoning. It's something much more fundamental, a change to how we interact with, well, pretty much every digital service we use.
And yet, here's the crazy part. Most people totally missed it. See, this isn't about a smarter AI. This is about a massive platform shift that is kicking off a brand new gold rush for developers and entrepreneurs. And it's all because they launched something new.
What was it? Well, OpenAI launched the ChatGPT app directory. And look, I know what you're thinking, but this is not just another feature. This is OpenAI making a huge bet that conversational AI is going to become the main way we interact with our entire digital world.
The vision, and this comes straight from Sam Altman, is to move from systems you can ask anything to systems that can do anything for you. Just think about it for a second. Ordering from DoorDash, building a presentation in Canva, booking a flight on Expedia, all from a single conversation. It's a fundamental move from just getting information to actually taking action.
And the scale we're talking about here is it's staggering. ChatGPT has 800 million weekly active users. And no, that's not a typo. To put that in perspective, that's more than the entire population of Europe. Every single one of them is now a potential customer for a brand new app ecosystem.
So this is what that new world actually looks like. Instead of jumping between a dozen different apps on your phone, you can handle a whole complicated workflow. I'm talking ordering dinner, building a slide deck for work, and planning a vacation, all from one chat, just using plain English. The convenience factor is undeniable.
But, and this is a big but, let's be super clear here. This isn't OpenAI's first rodeo. Anyone who's been following this space remembers the GPT Store. It was launched with so much hype, and it turned into an absolute disaster that left a lot of the early builders feeling completely burned.
The most important part, though, is that they really seem to have learned from their mistakes. The old GPT Store, it was a chaotic, no-code mess. The idea was to let anyone build a GPT, which sounds great, but it just meant most of them were simple prompt wrappers that couldn't solve real problems. This new app directory, on the other hand, is built on a professional, code-based foundation with formal app reviews and way stricter standards. This really is their second chance to get this.
And just to really hammer home how high the stakes are, look at how badly the first try went. The store was completely overrun with bots and cheap knockoffs. Researchers found hundreds of plugins with huge security holes, leaking developer credentials all over the place. And maybe the worst part? That revenue sharing they promised to creators for all their hard work? Yeah, that never actually happened.
But that messy history is precisely why this new launch is so important. A lot of people in the industry are saying that we are right now at the equivalent of 2008, the year Apple launched the App Store and kicked off a massive gold rush for software. This is that exact moment all over again.
I mean, think back to that time, right? It created a whole new wave of millionaires. We're talking about indie developers who saw where things were going early and built things like Angry Birds or even the first version of Instagram. These weren't huge companies. They were just people who moved fast on a new opportunity. That's the kind of potential we're talking about right now.
But here's what makes this moment different and, maybe even bigger. The barrier to entry is so much lower. You don't have to go learn specialized mobile languages like Swift. Basically, if you can build a standard web service that talks through an API, you can build a ChatGPT app. Like today, the door is wide open for everyone.
And the opportunities are just everywhere you look. Think about super niche services, like an app to manage your fantasy football league from a chat, or powerful workflow automations that connect your company's CRM directly to a presentation tool. The first person to build a really great app for a specific industry, say for real estate agents or physical therapists, could end up owning that entire market.
All right, so the big question, how do developers actually make money from this? Well, the official details are still pending, but everyone is expecting a model that looks a lot like Apple's App Store, a classic 70-30 revenue split, where the developers keep the lion's share. With a clear path to making money, the race is officially on.
And a race like this doesn't happen in a vacuum. This whole move is part of a much, much bigger story. This isn't just about a new feature. This is the first major shot fired in the AI platform wars. See, OpenAI isn't trying to own every single service. They're trying to own the single interface you use to access all of them.
So welcome to the AI chessboard. Each player has a totally different strategy. You've got Google playing a vertical game, weaving its AI deep into its workspace apps. Microsoft is just leveraging its absolute dominance in the enterprise world. But OpenAI? They're playing a horizontal game.
They're trying to become that universal layer that just sits on top of everything else, kind of like what Apple did with the iPhone.
And the amount of money at stake here is just enormous. One venture capitalist estimated that this shift to a conversational interface could eventually disrupt 44 times billion dollars in revenue from Apple and Google's app stores. That's how fundamental this change could really be.
Okay, so what does all of this tech giant drama actually mean for you, the person who's actually using these tools every day? Well, it really boils down to that classic trade-off between incredible convenience and some very real risks. On one hand, the upside is genuinely amazing. I mean, imagine starting your day with a single sentence, just like this. One command that gets executed across 4 or 5 different services, saving you a ton of time and mental energy. That kind of power is real, and it is incredibly attractive.
But on the other hand, you've got this huge hurdle of public trust. A staggering 81% of Americans already think the risks of AI data collection outweigh the benefits. That's not some small minority. That's a massive wall of skepticism that OpenAI and all these new developers have to climb.
Yeah, the elephant in the room is privacy, of course. When you connect a third-party app, how much of your conversation does it actually get to see? Is it just the one prompt you gave it, or does it see your entire chat history? The answers aren't totally clear yet, and let's be honest, OpenAI's track record on transparency isn't perfect. These are questions that absolutely need definitive answers.
But if we just zoom out for a second, what we are all witnessing is the birth of a brand new computing paradigm. This is a fundamental shift in how humans and computers interact, and frankly, it's been decades in the making.
First, we had the command line, where we had to learn the computer's language. Then came the graphical interface, windows, icons, menus. We still had to learn where to click, but now this conversational interface marks the third major era in computing.
And what's happening right now is the complete inverse of what we're used to. For the very first time, the computer is finally learning to speak our language. You don't need to know where a feature is buried in some menu, you just have to ask for what you want. When that shift becomes seamless, everything changes.
So, look, this isn't just speculation. With 800 million people already on the platform, it is already happening. A new computing platform has arrived. And the only question left for builders, for businesses, and for all of us as users is this: will you be early or will you be late?